Good morning, Anton.
Good morning, Dharmesh. How are you?
Why are you so happy today?
Yeah, it's Friday, which is a good thing.
Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday for us, but hopefully when this episode comes out, it'll be on a Friday too. We'll see.
That is true. We shall see.
We'll see. I have to say, I do have my chai today.
What that? Good to see it. Good to know. And I have my coffee. So.
And the flavor is spicy chai.
Oh, yum. Now mine stopped having black coffee because I'm trying to keep it light, cool, and contain the calories. Summer is coming. Summer is coming. It's around the corner.
Oh my gosh. I know. Awesome. Well, really excited about where things are going. There's so much coming at us at the same time these days, right? Like there's the state of the economy, there's AI, there's the shift in tariffs. There's so much going on. So I think for today, maybe it's something personal for me too. It's all the world of AI and how we're using AI in our space.
I do as well. But also, our friends in the medicine industry are adopting AI faster and faster because they are noticing that the work doesn't stop. It keeps accumulating. It keeps growing. But how can I unload some of my work into something that can make it for me faster and more efficiently? I think that AI is becoming a tool that, if used correctly, and you will explain us how, it will allow us to minimize efforts and maximize efficiency.
Well, I will try to explain it.
Wow.
I mean, imagine the day that we have robots with artificial intelligence planning and doing stuff. Kidding. That'd be...
I think that's a far from today, but who knows?
All right. Well, it sounds like we're going to be talking about AI today. So let's get started. All right. So, Anton, with today, we're diving headfirst into this fascinating world of artificial intelligence, otherwise known as AI. It is definitely growing within the event industry, outside of the industry, in our personal lives. So the impact is pretty significant to the point where you're also wondering if the content that you're reading is really created by humans or is it AI related? So anyhow, it is pretty wild, eh?
It is. I mean, considering that we all have AI, something simple like this. Every single platform that we use has an AI component now going on. So it's only logical to have this conversation. So tell me, in the events industry, some of the most basic examples that can be used as AI to help our friends in the amazing event.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, before we get to that, let's set the stage. AI is definitely no longer a futuristic concept, which is confined to sci-fi movies. I don't know if you remember Star Trek. My friend's going to love that reference. And it's also a reality now that's revolutioning how we plan things, how we manage things, and we experience events, right? So when we think of AI as our super efficient event planning assistant or a data assistant, capable of automating these tedious tasks, I think that ties down into what you're saying. Like there's so much stuff to do. There's not enough resources. Everyone's talking about AI, what to do. And it's like, okay, well, how do we use this AI nuggets to make stuff a lot easier, right? So to dive into it, well, AI essentially can sift through mountains of attendee data, for example, right? You have all your attendee data that you got after your event is completed. You're like, great, I got my attendee data. I got some reports. Let's start the next event. However, using this attendee data during the event or before the event, imagine using AI to personalize the event journey. So creating customized agendas, and there's softwares that do that, right? Giving tailored recommendations and then even personalizing welcome messages and stuff like that. So this really ties into delivering more highly personalized experiences. You know what I mean? It's like having a personalized, personal concierge.
Concierge.
For every event attendee, right?
You read my thoughts. I was like, it's like concierge. Your personal concierge.
Exactly. So with an example of that, it could be like an event app that uses AI to suggest relevant sessions. And I know there's some event apps doing that already, which is really, really great. networking opportunities, because then it kind of lets people connect better. Even nearby restaurants, for example, based on the attendees profile, like, because everyone who goes to an event needs to eat something and somewhere. That would be kind of fun.
That would be super cool because think about it, that the AI understands and learns your behavior. So knows that, for example, you like Chinese food. So it's going to recommend best Chinese restaurants around your area where you are at. That, I would love that.
Or even to one up it, like you have all your friends that you've liked during the conference and connected to and chatted with. And then, you're all going to a restaurant, the recommendation engine says, hey, you guys, why don't you guys all meet up and go to this restaurant, for instance, for lunch, and it starts creating more organic networking opportunities.
I love the quotation.
Because it's not organic, it's tailored.
Exactly. That sounds terrific. I mean, I love those ideas because they are happening, and I'm sure that we can make it even better as we progress and we learn more about it.
Absolutely. And then this also applies to support. And I know that's a topic that we talk about a lot with regards to how do we deliver support in a timely, more efficient manner without increasing costs, because support does cost money.
Correct.
But by having a really good chatbot, for instance, is connected to your event FAQ, for instance, then attendees can get instant answers to what they want. And typically, 80% or so questions are stuff about the event, and then 20% is stuff that I need help with, right? So if I need help with it, then great, I can get redirected to a live agent or, send an email or whatever. But I think that would definitely help as well.
Cannot agree more with you. I mean, AI has so many multiple variations of how it can be used in meetings and events. It's more about how can this be tailored to the organization and to the entity who's putting together the event together. Like I remember one day we were talking about, for example, in the near future, that's how can AI help you to navigate, especially if you're a newbie. Think about our new members. How can this help? Or someone who's just fresh out of college, first time attending a conference, and we all know because we've been there, it's nerve-wracking. Where you're like, I don't know a single soul in X thousand of people's event. How can that be a great?
Well, that's a good example of the event app, right? Like if you have an event app, it's going to help you network with members and mentors and all that kind of stuff. So that's all there now. Like it's coming fast and furious. And I think people who have trouble networking should be able to harness AI to build those connections as well. So that's really good. To add to that, there's also the stuff that happens before that. So for example, AI can help you predict the future, possibly. You have to go you have to go back in history to see how it can help you predict. To do that is you look at how you can analyze your historical event data, for instance, and then using AI to forecast attendance trends, right? And to forecast potential bottlenecks and even suggest optimal event timings to see, hey, look, based on your history, these are the session types and categories that are successful or not successful. Maybe the trend is that we need to focus on this. Maybe it can also tell you these are the kind of subject topic matters that are more interesting for the attendees that are always coming over the last 3 years. Then when you do your call for papers, you're tying it into those categories and getting people to talk more about that stuff that matters to attendees. So that's a really nice way to use your past historical data, attendance data, and session data to kind of get the right people in front of the people that are asking for that kind of information, for instance.
That is genius, actually. Which also segues very perfectly to, for example, how can this help in the designing an event, especially for the audience?
Absolutely. Like maybe there's an event that you have that you have 85 or 90 sessions going on, hypothetically, and then you're like, whoa, I don't need that many events, right? Maybe we need half of that. So that could help reduce cost. Again, going towards the session that we did prior, it helps reduce cost, but then it also makes it more activated because you're giving people exactly what they're looking for.
It's a little more personalized because
it's like a crystal ball for event planners.
Oh, I love that. That is fantastic. But what are the considerations, like ethical considerations, that need taken into account when you are using AI?
For sure. So when we're talking about AI, I would highly recommend not to throw your data into OpenAI and say do all this stuff on a public account. You would probably need to look at getting more of a private account, making sure you're using anonymous data. So then if it were to get leaked, you're still not doing that. You're just kind of working with anonymous demographic data. Not that it would get leaked if you got your own instance of AI. But I think that's something very important, especially with personal data. You should not be putting that anywhere else. There's huge PCI compliance rules around it, ISO rules and whatnot. So I would not recommend to do that. I would highly recommend that, you can take anonymous data and use that demographics to kind of help you with that. Now, if you're using AI internally and you're being careful with not using PII data, PII means personal information. Um, yeah. So yes, there are ethical concerns about it, but you have to follow your guidelines within your organization of how to manage that data, use that data, um, with respecting the requirements of the attendees' preferences on how that data needs to be used as well.
I think that there's a very important component to also always take into consideration, because in today's world, there we have hackers, we have all other sources that can take advantage of the use of AI, because you always have to think of the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope that everything's going to be great and good, but you never know. So you always have to be.
Yeah, that's a great question. Like with data, with great use of data comes great responsibility.
Absolutely, but also as planners, we always think about what could be the outcome of ABCD. There's always something that needs to be burner, always as a proactive approach.
And to be honest, like with this kind of stuff, with everything on your plate as a planner, I'll say there's a lot going on. And you're like, wow, where do I start with this? You know, there's a lot of companies out there that will help you with this kind of stuff. Make sure you're compliant, make sure you're getting the data that you want, work on your hypothesis of what you're trying to get as a result of your data, and then using AI, using data, using data analysis. Like it's a whole sequence of things, not just AI by itself, but there is an art in that storytelling of that data too that's involved. So there are people that do it. We do it for some of our customers, right? So I mean, that's where the edge is and how to use and tell that story.
So, I mean, it goes back to our foundation. It's collaboration. Is actually finding that partner, that organization that is going to work and walk side by side with you and make you grow better and faster and more efficiently. Which I think is key in our industry. It's not about what we know, it's more about who we know and how we use the resources that we have around us by having that strategic partner, which it becomes foundation of the minutes and events industry.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to go into the data space, because that is a big nugget to do, where you have really great professionals out there to help you work through that data to tell your data story. But from your day to day, you can start small. So for instance, there are tools now where your email is tied in with AI to make your email sound better in your voice, right? So you just make some bullet points, whatever, write it, and then send it out. So I use a tool called Superhuman for my email. It helps me. It's all shortcut key based. I'm a nerd that way, but I can pump out emails really, really fast that way, right? And and what I like about it is it uses AI to help me recall information in there and et cetera, et cetera. Again, I'm not selling for the product, but that is a product that works for me in that scenario, right? Another case is using chatbots and GPT. So you can create your own GPT, think of it like your mini assistant. And that's a big thing called this AI agent does stuff that can say, hey, I want you to act like a social media content creator, give it instructions, give it rules around your voice. And then once it's done, and you have an article that your company's writing or you're writing and you want to post it out, you can put it in there, it'll spit it out in your voice, copy and paste, and then now you create a little engine to do that work, for instance, right? Like there's a lot of those things that it can help you do things. And, there's also platforms now that help you take your data and then synthesize it to save your time. So you don't have to download it in Excel. You don't got to do your if statements, your V lookups and your X lookups and whatever. Like you can ask it and it can deliver it. So that's kind of cool as well. So that's like the nice clean way of getting into it without the burden of like, oh my God, where do I start? You know?
Absolutely. But there's so much we can talk for hours and hours. We don't want to go too long. So with that being said, I mean, just as use AI in the best way that applies to your daily life, because we all have different levels. Like we have the very beginners to the very advanced that they know how, what not, but it's more about start using it much more proactively in your daily life, but always keeping in mind that it's going to take you time. Like we all learn to do things from zero to where we are. It takes time. So we have to be also mindful that some of us learn fast, some of us learn a little bit slower. I am
Correct.
the with that. I'm cautious and I like to like, okay, let me understand and they go with it. So with that being said, I think that to close this is more about like, is if I'm a beginner, Darm, what would you recommend me to do? Besides, of course, utilize it for emails and all that good stuff that which is out there. But I'm a really early beginner person and I'm like, I am more curious AI. If there's any good books or any good trainings or anything that you think of that can be beneficial for someone.
Yeah, I think if it's in a book, it's going to get dated tomorrow
Uh,
because there's just so much happening so
there we go.
fast. So what I would recommend is look up different AI tools on Google that can help you. The quick starts are OpenAI. They have a free account. You can also pay for it too. There's Claude. Claude is kind of fun as well. Perplexity is great because Perplexity, it'll search the internet and then it'll curate the content based on that. So then it reduces hallucinations, which is like it starts having its own mind. It's not its own minds, but its own algorithm starts creating stories. So you want to avoid that kind of stuff. But in OpenAI, you can also use it and say, hey, make sure that you don't hallucinate on the output. Make sure it's more accurate, right? And so then it doesn't have free will to be super creative. You know, ultimately, AI is, I have to say, it's a powerful tool that can enhance your capabilities out there, but you have to combine the human creativity with AI's efficiency together, which can unlock a whole new level of experiences. And it's also important to note it's not here to replace us, but it's here to empower and create efficiencies in how we work out there, you know.
Amazing. Well, anyway, so with that being
Yeah,
said, it's great having this conversation with you once again. I always learn so much more. I think
me
that's
too.
the
Well, next time it's going to be about housing and stuff, so then we can
all
get
right.
you into it.
But also to our friends who are listening to this, please make comments. Let us know what you think about this, and if you have any kind of sort of recommendation that you can share into the universe of whoever is listening out there, because everyone has a different take, everyone has a different way of seeing and a point of view. So we're always open to having the dialogue continuing and just making sure that we're out there and we continue progressing because every day we have to keep on going and making sure that we find a brighter future.
Well, that's it for now. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.
Later.
Bye.